run a golf tournament every year in March out at Memorial in Houston, and I want to know how we can use you. So I guess
Yeah.
tell me more about your business.
Yeah. So I started it back 10 years ago in 2016. Well, a little bit about me, I guess, what
Yeah.
took me to Texas. So I started selling artificial turf, had, a northern territory. And then they asked if somebody wants to go south to Texas. I said, yes. So interviewed for that. Moved me to Dallas. Don't hold that against me.
No.
And then, so in 2012 or 13, they started laying off school teachers. So they couldn't lay off 6 school teachers and then put in $1 million football field. Just didn't look good, although some coaches wanted to. But anyway, but Golf Academy of America, it was their first year in Dallas. And so when I got laid off from the AstroTurf, I asked myself the age-old question: if I could do something for the rest of my life, what would I do? And golf was it. So I enrolled in the Golf Academy of America, and through that, I found that charity golf tournaments. Well, I was going to go to the PGA. That's what I wanted to do, is kind of, head that route and try to get to run PGA tournaments. But quickly found out that that's a little political in my realm. So switched over to charity golf tournaments. As I was running tournaments at the Golf Academy of America, quickly found out that the time between scorecards being turned in and the ceremony starting was a long time. And so anyway, but fast forward through Golf Academy of America, then I started running charity golf tournaments, and there had to be a better way. So I ended up, I hired a company to do a demographic study of the United States to figure out who has the most charity golf tournaments. Houston was it. So I sold my house in Dallas and went all in down here, started the business. I bought 80 iPad minis to start off with, which was kind of a mistake looking back. But so I started running some men's games here at some of the country clubs, and then started doing some charity golf tournaments. And yeah, I mean, it's just created a beast, I guess. It's so that's how, in 2016, when I started, I was competing with paper scorecards. And so
Right.
I don't know if you guys run your tournament. Do you guys use Golf Genius or paper scorecards or?
No, man, the Memorial just had it set up on, I believe everyone just had paper, and then you just handed it to whoever was calculating the scores, and then as we're having dinner, the scores would kind of go up on the TV. It'd refresh
Yeah.
every 30 seconds or something. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what's funny about that is they're using, I think, Golf Genius. But so I'll rewind a little bit. So when I started the business in 2016, all I was doing was competing with paper scorecards, right? So I had a better mousetrap. I'd capture all the scores before they would come in. And so I'd have all the scoring done before everybody was off the course. And so we could, wait for that last person to go through the buffet and then just start the program then.
Okay.
And
Wow.
so, yeah, and so that was happening wonderfully. And a little bit about the business too is, so what's evolved is that, when you go to a golf club, they usually have one little speaker they're trying to make announcements on, and nobody's really listening or anything like that. Well, I could bring up to 8 powered speakers out and daisy chain them, and we'll play music. But when they're making announcements about the charity that they're coming out there to play for, they're going to hear about it.
Yeah.
I'll crank those announcements up in the morning. And so we'll do all that. We'll make the announcements. And then when they go out onto the course, after they'll get their tablet, their scoring tablet, at registration, they'll come to me. I'll give them their scoring tablet. It takes 10 seconds to explain it. And then I'll monitor that while they're out on the course to make sure we get 100% participation. And that's the big difference between the apps nowadays and my scoring, because nobody polices that, and they'll get like 10 to 12 teams that don't use it. And
Okay.
so when they come back in, it makes live scoring moot, for one. And then they're taking the time, like you said, they're standing over at the computer. They'll get the paper scorecard in, they'll type it in, and it'll populate up onto the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Where, you're still waiting now, right? People are still finishing across the course, taking their clubs to their car, come back in. Here's my paper scorecard. So it makes, so some of my clients have gone and tried out the free app to do that, and then the following year they come back to me. So
Okay. Walk me through how the process or how everything works, because I'm really curious.
yeah,
Like your
yeah,
website, it sounds like really you guys are assisting in the planning phase of everything. Is that the case, or just kind of walk me through, I guess, how all that works? I'm curious
yeah,
for our own tournament too, so I want to
yeah.
hear about that.
So, I'll take it from the beginning. We would talk about, you know, so we would get all your player lists, all your sponsors. and we could put the sponsors on the tablets and things like that. But before that, I'll work with you guys. You guys will get sponsors, you guys will sell sponsors, and we'll look for the placement that the sponsors go to on the tablets, right?
Okay.
And so if
Okay.
there's a closest to the pin or long drive, I can recognize that. So once they post, let's say hole 2, they post their score. Hole 3 is closest to the pin. So once they post their score, the tablet can flip and say hole 3 sponsored by, closest to the pin, sponsored by, and then that company.
Yeah, that's very
And
cool.
and then in between just random holes, we can highlight your top sponsor again. So once the scores post, we can highlight anything we want in between the holes. So that stays on there for about 10 seconds, and then
Yeah,
it goes on to the next. Now
that's
on
really
the main screen of the tablet, we can have your top sponsor scrolling consistently or constantly all the
okay.
time on there. So
Okay.
once we get all that in place, I'll send the golf course the pairings list, the alpha list, their cart signs to be used. So all the paperwork. So all the pro has to do is hit print,
Right.
and that's because you'll give me your list. I'll upload that list into my software, and then that is final. That'll be the where their
Okay.
starting holes are and everything else. Because once it goes into the tablet, it's that's done. I can't
Right.
change that the day of. So anyway, so we get there in the morning, we'll set up speakers, and we'll make the announcements, and then we'll make the announcements if you guys registered yet. If you have, come see me. We're going to give you guys scoring tablets, and then it takes 10 seconds to get them the scoring tablets. They'll make the announcements, they'll get them out on the course. Now, when they come back in from playing, we'll have a 110-inch projection screen, or we can use my LED screen that's on a trailer. It's 12 by 7. If
Cool.
they want to do an outdoor ceremony, but if we want to do an indoor ceremony, we'll have a 110-inch projection screen. And so I'll work with the MC, and so we'll create kind of a script, not a word for word script, but thank everybody for coming back in. Thank the sponsors, and we'll have sponsors on the back. They'll go through the sponsor list, and it'll reflect on the 110-inch projection screen what they're
That's
saying.
cool.
And then we'll do like closest to the pin, put that person's name up there. Long
Okay.
drive, put that person's name up there. Get pictures like that.
Yeah.
Third, second, third, second, first. So it really streamlines everything on the back end as well, because you've probably been to tournaments and the MC's like, all right, what's next? What do we got next? What do we do?
Right, right.
Raffle? We want to do a close to the pin. All right, let's do that. So
Yeah.
we kind of tighten the ship.
Having someone like you, I mean, we just did our first tournament in March, and we're gonna do that annually, and that was it was a success, but man, it was nerve-wracking a lot of the time. Like, Cody and I running it, just it was super nerve-wracking, and then, luckily, we did have 100 people show up, so that was pretty, spectacular for our
That's
first
good.
event, and
Yeah.
really we really only filled it took us about 60 days, really. So, I mean, we filled it pretty darn quick, I think, for having 100 people.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
that
60
was pretty
days
good,
is,
but yeah,
I always,
and at Memorial, like, with the grandstands, I mean, that was really, really special and
we
unique,
were having
so
with the tournaments down
yeah, it
there.
was right before the Open, like,
Oh, that's
maybe
pretty cool.
10 days or so, so the
Yeah.
PGA wasn't quite done with all the grandstands, but it was close enough to where you kinda got that
That
stadium
feel.
vibe. It was
Yeah. Yeah.
really, really cool, so,
Yeah.
we're definitely gonna be doing that again in March, but tell me, with this being the Entrepreneur Lounge podcast, I wanna hear about the business side. What have been some successes and maybe some tough things that you've had to overcome, and kind of talk about the business function as a whole from when you started to now, and kind of how that's kind of give us a timeline of everything, I guess.
Yeah. So when I started the business, I actually reached out to Golf Genius, and I reached out to Golf Gamebook. And there's another company called VPAR. They're out of England. Golf Gamebook is out of Finland. They're kind of the Golf Genius of Europe a little bit. But
Yeah.
I reached out to all of them to see if I could piggyback on their software. And so Golf Genius wanted to charge me. VPAR was coming out with their own, and then Golf Gamebook was in Finland, and they gave me the rights to the back end of their software. I could put logos in, I could do, everything that I needed to do. And so we partnered up with Golf Gamebook. And
Okay.
so the challenge with that was that, at 8 o'clock in the morning when I need some help, maybe with some service that they provide, they're asleep. So
Right.
it that was not working. But everything that I needed to do, I could get done prior to that. But that was a pretty big challenge. And then we had a meeting. I used their services for about a year and a half, and I had a meeting with them, and I wanted to bring Golf Gamebook over to the United States and we could do this whole tournament, charity tournament and put branches everywhere.
Yeah.
And so, like, they mulled it over for 2 weeks, and they got back with me and said that they weren't interested in doing that. And
Okay.
so, at that time, they said that they were gonna let that part of the software kinda die out, so there wasn't gonna be any support. And
Okay.
so, that's when I reached out. I had to reach out to my sister, and then, she knew one of the guys that was a he was the lead at the Bank of America mortgage app, so he
Okay.
was qualified.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so we worked together and I took him through like Golf Genius. I took him through VPAR. I took him through Golf Gamebook. And we wanted to create the easiest software to build for these charity tournaments.
Okay.
And we did. It's super easy software. I build out the games. It takes me, however many, I mean, it depends on the logos and everything else. But, I learned how to have the size logos, have to,
Yeah.
make sure they're sized correctly. They look good. And so some of the challenges moving forward was definitely that because we had a minimal time to get our own software into the rotation and then let Golf Gamebook kind of die out
Right.
while we were getting busy. But yeah, and all that comes to scaling and adding people and so there's on that side of the business, we're doing, over 300 tournaments we had our hand in last year and keeping people on board. It's a lot to juggle every year because,
Yeah.
well, we used to hire, well, we still do hire US vets. I'll tell you a little bit about that, but we hire
Yeah.
US vets and then I would talk to them and see what they wanna do, wanna work for, who they wanna work for. And
Yeah.
so, for example, we had one of the guys that he wanted to work for oil and gas. So I would put him at oil and gas tournaments doing the air cannon, and I'll get to all the other activations here
Plenty of
quickly.
those. Yeah.
Yeah. But so I put him on air cannons and I put him at we do every Exxon tournament, so I put him at every Exxon tournament. He got hired. So
That's
that was
awesome.
pretty cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so those are pretty cool things, but
Yeah.
back I'll tell you a little about my activations. So,
Yeah.
we do the air cannon, obviously, you've probably seen it. The thing that differentiates us, our air cannon, but than everybody else's is that we have a dart flight in the golf ball, and so it goes straighter, further, longer, so it's just a fun activation for sure.
Okay.
Actually, tonight, August 25th, is the start of the Golf Channel's Big Break again. I don't know if did you ever watch that before?
No. No, what's that?
Okay, so the Golf Channel's Big Break is where I came out with the golf challenge, the glass challenge that we offer now at charity golf tournaments. So the Big Break takes a bunch of professional golfers, they run them through a bunch of activations to eliminate one at a time. Like the flop wall, they had chipping contests, distance
Okay.
contests, so a lot of control. And then the one that they had every person on the Big Break, they have glass and they had their name on it. So
Cool.
everybody came up, they got 2 shots to break everybody else's glass, and so whoever was left won, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I was
That's
like,
cool.
everybody just loved that activation
That's
on the Golf Channel.
and you guys will do that for tournaments, or this is just for Golf Channel?
No, this is so that's what gave me the idea.
Okay. Okay.
And so now I bring out, panes of glass and a frame,
That's so cool.
and so each person gets 2 shots to break it. If you break it, you get to move up on a par 5.
Okay. I love it.
So that's been pretty popular. And I think since the Golf Channel's coming back out with that, I think it's even
Yeah.
gonna be more popular,
That's cool.
this
How
fall.
how do you guys, gain clients? I'm sure you get a lot of just referrals, and you probably have a repeat business every year from people that do the same tournament every year, or maybe a couple times a year, they might have semi-annual tournaments. How do you guys gain new clients?
Yeah, so it's, just digging through the internet.
Okay.
Like I said, we ran I hired a company to do a demographic study down here, or from the United States, and see who has the most charity golf tournaments. And Houston was it at 5,500 charity golf
Wow.
tournaments. That's from Baytown to like Huntsville, Brenham, down to
Okay.
Lake Jackson. So I mean, every year I get a call, and it's a different golf course, and I'm like, well, we're just doing Houston, and they're like, oh, it's in Houston. They're like, I've never
Yeah.
even heard of it before. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, go through the internet. I mean, you just dig them out. But
Yeah.
now that it's, each tournament should sell another one because somebody shockingly hasn't seen like the air cannon yet. And they're like, we need it at our tournament. But
Right.
most of it's by word of mouth right now.
Okay.
But yeah, there's still so many out there that, I just trip over them on the internet
Okay.
when I go looking for them. So, I mean, our lead list is, I think we have 300 plus in the lead list that we still try
Mhm.
to get to, but there's just so many out there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you guys
But then
from the start when you guys engage with somebody to help with their tournament, do you guys help in bringing in any charities or any sponsors or anything like that?
So we'll help them with the blueprint, right?
Okay.
So we'll help them with the blueprint. We'll help them get that started. Help them, create a committee because you don't want a committee with all the same people going after the same, sponsors and stuff like that. So, if they're, you should be able to get, a real estate, construction, all those, type of people involved in your charity. That way there's so many branches that they can reach out to and not pigeonhole them into one network of sponsors. Yeah.
Okay. No, that makes sense. Well, man, this is great. I wanna get on a call maybe with Cody as well, and we can talk about maybe later this year, we can talk about our tournament in March. Don't have the date, of course, dialed in yet. We're still a ways out, but I definitely wanna talk more about that and have you involved. But I really appreciate your time, and yeah, I wanna blast this out and hopefully get you a couple more connections in Houston. You go all over, right? You'll go to different states as well, or is it just Texas?
Just for like celebrity tournaments. Like I just got back from John Daly's tournament up in Nashville at
Okay,
Old Hickory, and
okay.
we actually did the glass challenge and we did the air
Nice.
cannon for him.
That's so
And
cool.
so, yeah, it's pretty cool. And oh yeah, so yeah, I met all this came from, and I'll tell you a little story real quick about.
Yeah.
So I got a phone call from a person, and he was like, "Hey, we were interested in the glass challenge. You would come down to the Masters for 7 days and do the glass." And I took a step back, and I'm like, "Who is this? Like, what friend of mine is messing with me, right?" So this was like 2018. So he was like, "No, I'm serious as a heart attack. This is true." And so put all that together. Fast forward, I still do the glass challenge for Delta Airlines VIP at
Wow.
East Lake at the Masters for 8 days, and then fast forward now, I'll pack up and I go to the RBC Heritage the weekend after and do the RBC VIP with the glass challenge. Yeah, so
That's awesome.
great.